You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Arvizo, do you remember on December 20th, 2003? Excuse me. Pardon me, not December. Pardon me. Do you remember, in your meeting with the social workers, saying that you often take a girlfriend with you to Neverland to keep you company?
No, no one ever went with me at Neverland.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you the social worker's report?
Well, I know I said that, but that's not true.
But you did say that.
Yeah.
To the 3 social workers from the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you also told them that you denied that your mother Janet had ever neglected you, right?
My mom never neglected us.
But my question is, you told the 3 social workers that your mother had never neglected you, right?
Yes.
And you told the social workers your mother always knows what's going on when she is at Neverland with us, right?
Yeah.
You told them that.
Yeah.
Was that true?
No.
That was a lie.
Yeah.
And you're telling us today that when you told those 3 social workers that you'd bring a girlfriend with you to keep you company at Neverland, that was a lie, right?
Yeah. There was no one to take, in the first place.
You told those social workers, Michael is like a father to all of us, right?
Yeah.
You told the social workers, Michael is so kind and loving, right?
I don't remember a lot of things I said. It was a really long time ago.
Would it refresh your recollection if I just show you the report?
It's not me writing it, so I don't know.
Well, would you want to give it a chance?
Okay.
Do you want to see it?
It's fine. You're reading it anyways.
You don't want to see it?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so you don't want to see if it refreshes your recollection.
Well, the lady wrote it, so it's not going to refresh anything.
You don't want to try?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as argumentative.
Okay, I'll move on, Your Honor.
All right.
You told the social workers your father threatened to kill your mother, right?
Yes.
I'm going to object as hearsay. He's reading the report into the record, here.
Overruled. You may answer. You may answer.
Yes.
You told the social workers you'd gone to Neverland several times with your brothers, right?
I don't remember. I don't know what was said on that report.
Would you like to see the report to see if it refreshes your recollection?
No.
Don't want to even look at it.
It's not my writing, it's not what I wrote, so it's not going to refresh my memory.
Did you tell the social workers, I've never seen Michael do anything sexually inappropriate with Gavin or Star?
I don't remember what I said.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you
No.
that part of the report?
No, it's not.
It just wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Have you discussed what you were going to say today in court with anybody?
No.
Nobody.
No.
All right, now, yesterday you identified some photographs. Remember those photographs?
Yes.
Before you were asked to identify them in court by the prosecutor, had you seen those photographs before?
Once, yes.
Who showed them to you?
Mr. Snedden did.
And when did Mr. Snedden show you the photographs?
A couple of days before a day or two before I even saw them here.
Okay, now, where did he meet with you to show you the photographs?
In where he was located, in there.
Excuse me.
Where he was located.
Okay, so you came to Mr. Snedden's office.
It wasn't an office.
Was it a home?
It was in somebody's home. But it was a home, yes.
Okay, and before, all you said was, Mr. Snedden gave me some grand jury testimony to look at, right?
Well, now that you're asking me about pictures, I remember.
Now you remember them.
Yeah.
Okay, and did Mr. Snedden show you that picture of the room that was renovated for Gavin?
He showed me the pictures and then I would tell him what they were. He wouldn't tell me what they were.
Did he ever tell you where he got the pictures?
I don't know.
You don't know if he said it or not.
I don't know where he got them.
Did he ever show you the picture of Gavin's room and say, here's a picture, and tell you where he got it?
Well, those are our pictures.
They're your pictures.
With Gavin in his room.
Yes.
Yes, those are our pictures.
Did you give the picture to Mr. Snedden?
Yes. He wanted a picture of Gavin, yes.
Did you give Mr. Snedden any other photos?
The Kobe Bryant picture, yes. There's other pictures that we've given them.
And when did you give him those pictures?
I don't remember.
Was it within the last 2 weeks?
I think so, yes.
Has anyone ever told you what I said in my opening statement in this courtroom?
No.
No one's even discussed anything I said.
No, not that I remember.
Not that you remember.
I don't know, no.
In the last week, has anyone said to you words to the effect, Mr. Mesereau said the following about the case?
No, not that I remember.
Not that you remember. Okay. Has anyone ever suggested to you that you need to address some issues that Mr. Mesereau talked about in his opening statement?
Not that I remember, no.
Not that you remember.
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
You're sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, you told the jury that the first night you and your family were at Neverland, you had dinner in the main dining room and discussed whether or not Gavin was going to sleep in Michael Jackson's bedroom, right?
Yes.
Now, that was the first day you'd ever met Michael Jackson, right?
Yes.
You had arrived in the afternoon, right?
Yes.
You said you had played at Neverland with your brothers that afternoon, right?
I don't remember what we did. All I remember is me meeting him, and the rooms, and that we ate dinner that day.
So would you say you were there a couple of hours before you had dinner?
Yeah.
Okay. Was your mother in the dining room?
Yes, we were all in the dining room.
And the subject at dinner came up. Will Gavin sleep in Michael's bedroom, the first dinner?
Yes, Gavin brought it up in the dining room, yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did your father approve?
I don't remember. I think he did.
To your knowledge, did your mother approve?
Yeah, I think she did.
Okay. When you met with the social workers, did you tell them that your father and mother had approved Gavin sleeping in Michael Jackson's bedroom the first time you were at Neverland?
If they had asked me, I probably would have said, yes.
Because you would have told them the truth that day.
Yes, well, on certain things. Because.
You would have told them the truth about certain things, but not other things, right?
Well, yeah, because you already kind of knew not to say what went on at Neverland.
So you would have lied about some things and not lied about other things, depending on what you were asked, right?
Yeah.
But you never discussed with your mother what you were going to say if questioned by the 3 social workers, right?
Not that I remember, no.
Never did.
Not that I remember.
Okay. I believe you said you went to Neverland twice with Mr. Tucker, right?
Yes.
And approximately when was that?
I don't remember when. It was after our first visit, after Gavin was already in remission. I don't remember when.
Was Mr. Tucker there during the Bashir filming?
No.
Didn't you testify yesterday that Mr. Tucker was there for the Bashir filming?
No.
You accompanied your brothers to Neverland for the Bashir film, true?
Yes.
And did you discuss with your brothers on the way the fact that you were going to be filmed?
We didn't know we were until we got there.
Okay. You thought you were just visiting.
Yeah, we just thought that Michael wanted to see us.
Didn't you say something yesterday about filming your brothers like had been done before?
Yeah, they thought it was like when they had done one previously of just my brothers and Mr. Jackson.
Right. So you thought that's what it was going to be.
Well, when we got there, we found out we were going to get filmed, yes.
Okay. And were your brothers eager to be filmed, as far as you knew?
I don't know. You have to ask them.
Well, what was your impression?
I didn't think I was going to get filmed at all. I thought the whole focus was on Gavin.
Did someone tell you to say that today?
No.
No.
That's my own words.
Oh. Okay. You were filmed, correct?
Yes.
You spoke on the film, right?
Yes.
And you were majoring in performing arts, true?
Majoring in performing arts.
Uh-huh.
I'm not majoring in performing arts.
Were you studying performing arts at the time?
I was taking extra classes at my school because that's the ones they have you take, yes.
Did you want to be in that film?
No. I didn't know I was going to be in that film until, they were saying, okay, now we're going to film, everybody in the kitchen. I didn't know I was. I thought the whole focus was Gavin.
Did you want to be in the film?
I didn't care. I was just watching Gavin.
Did you want to be in the film? Yes or no?
I didn't care for it, no.
Did you tell anyone, I don't want to be in this film?
I did along with what they were asking me.
Okay, so you felt you had no say in the matter, right?
Well, I
Object as argumentative, Your Honor.
Okay, withdrawn. Now, has your mother ever told you to say in court that she never tried to raise money for Gavin?
She's never told me anything to say in court.
Okay, you've never discussed what you'll say in court with her at any time?
Never.
Okay, do you have any knowledge of your mother going to a newspaper in El Monte to place an ad in the paper to raise money for Gavin?
No. What that was my aunt's, that's her friend, and she wanted to do a story, because they found out of Gavin's illness.
Do you have knowledge about that?
A little bit. Not really.
Do you know if your mother ever spoke to anyone with that newspaper about raising money for Gavin?
No. Not that I remember.
So you don't think she did?
No.
Never discussed that with your mom, as to whether or not she approached them?
They just asked a couple of questions to my mom about Gavin's illness and stuff. That was it.
Do you have any knowledge of your mother calling the paper up and complaining that they hadn't put the bank account in the ad?
I don't remember that.
Never heard anything about that.
I don't remember that.
Okay, but as far as you know today, your mother never approached that paper about raising money?
No.
Okay, did you ever discuss that issue with your mother?
No.
Have you followed this case on television at all?
Just when you're flipping the channels and you see something. But I keep going, because it just upsets us.
Have you watched any shows on television that talked about the case?
No.
Never.
Never.
Okay, have you watched any shows on television that talked about your mom?
No.
Never.
Never.
Ever discuss with your mom any shows that appeared on television about the case?
No.
Never.
Never.
Ever discuss with Gavin any shows that appeared on television about this case?
Especially not, no.
Have you ever discussed with your brother Star any shows on television that appeared about the case?
No.
Ever discuss with Jay Jackson any of these television shows that talked about this case?
No.
Now, your mother and Jay Jackson are married now, right?
Yes, he's my stepfather.
He's still in the United States Army, right?
Yes, he is.
As a reserve?
No, he's active now.
He is active now?
Yes, he is. He's been since my mom and them have been dating, he's been in active duty.
He was in the reserve at one point, wasn't he?
They turned him back in because of the war.
Where is he stationed now, if you know?
Judge, I'm going to.
I don't mean the address, but is he stationed at an army base?
He's stationed.
Excuse me. Counsel, I want to object, Your Honor, in terms of where he's living now with the family in terms of the location. I don't think it's relevant to this litigation, and it presents certain problems that I'll address at sidebar, if you wish me to, but.
Do you need to know where he is for any reason?
I was just wondering where he was stationed. I didn't want the address.
Let's go ahead.
Okay. Now, you testified yesterday about the size of a TV set in Gavin's renovated room, right?
Yes.
Did somebody tell you they were going to ask you that question before you appeared yesterday?
No.
So yesterday was the first time you learned that that might even be an issue in the case?
Yeah.
Okay. No sheriff ever discussed that with you?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Mr. Snedden never discussed it with you?
Well, he had asked me what things were in that room.
Okay.
I told him there was a TV and stuff.
Do you have any knowledge of Louise Palanker visiting that room and complaining about what was in it?
I don't remember.
Did you ever see Louise Palanker in that room?
I don't remember. I just mainly remember her going to the hospital where Gavin was at.
Okay. You had your photo taken with Louise Palanker, right?
Yes, several.
And were they all at the Laugh Factory?
No, some were at the hospital also.
So she was a regular visitor at the hospital, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you know someone named Carol Lemire, correct?
Yes.
How did you meet Carol Lemire?
At a dance studio.
And approximately when was that?
I don't know. We were really young.
And at some point you moved in with Carol Lemire, true?
I never moved in with her.
You never lived at her place for a sustained period of time.
I visited her for about a week.
Just 1 week.
Well, it was several visits that she would come and pick me up, but I never moved in with her.
Did you ever live with her for a month at a time?
No.
How about a week at a time?
Maybe so, a week.
How many weeks do you think you lived at her place?
The longest I stood there at a time was week. And I think it was like 2 or 3 times that I stood with her.
Well, you lived with her during the summer of the year 2000, right?
Yes.
For how long did you live?
I didn't live with her, though. I stood with her in the year 2000.
Pardon me.
I didn't live with her. I stood with her in the year 2000.
You.
I never lived with Carol Lemire.
Did you ever bring a suitcase with clothes to Carol Lemire's home?
Yeah, I was visiting. I took clothes.
And you stayed weeks at a time, right?
Just 1 week at a time. That was the max. I don't remember staying any longer.
How many times did you stay for approximately a week at Carol Lemire's home?
Probably I stood there a week at one time, and then close to a week the other 2 times.
You asked her if you could move in, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You told Carol Lemire stories about your mother, didn't you?
No.
You told her your mother would awaken you at 2 o'clock in the morning, correct?
No.
You told her your mother would beat your father, didn't you?
No. I told her I tried telling her that my father would beat my mother.
You told Carol Lemire that your mother was telling you to attack your father, when, in reality, your mother was beating your father, right?
No.
You never said anything like that to Carol Lemire.
No.
You constantly told Carol about Janet hitting you and your brothers, true?
No.
And at one point you told Carol Lemire that your family was going to move into a big house in the Hollywood Hills, correct?
I never told her that.
Never said that at all.
No.
Was it your understanding that Carol Lemire asked Michael Jackson for a vehicle for your family to use?
I don't know.
Don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
Did you tell Mrs. Lemire that Michael Jackson gave Gavin video games and players?
Yeah.
Do you know when you told that to Carol Lemire?
One of the times that I was staying there. I don't know.
Okay, but you don't remember how many times you stayed there, right?
I don't know.
Has anyone discussed?
It's not clear. It was too long ago.
Has anyone discussed with you what you said to Carol Lemire before today?
Not that I remember, no.
Has any police officer discussed it with you?
Not that I remember. I don't know.
Any sheriff?
Not that I remember. I don't know.
Mr. Snedden?
Not that I remember. I don't know.
Mr. Roble?
All they have asked me is who she is. And I told him who she was.
And when did you last tell any of them who she is?
A couple weeks ago. I don't know.
You don't know when. Was it in the last week?
No, it was farther than that.
Okay. Did anyone ask you any questions about Carol Lemire in the last week?
No.
Okay. Has anyone told you I mentioned Carol Lemire in my opening statement in this case?
No, nobody talked to me about your opening statement.
Okay. Who did you discuss Carol Lemire with?
I don't remember. One of the officers. I don't remember.
Was that in the last month?
I think so.
Okay. Did you ever tell Carol Lemire that Janet would take her children places and intentionally not feed them or bring food?
No.
Did you ever tell Carol Lemire that it was Janet's intent that the children be fed by whoever they were visiting?
No.
Never said anything like that.
No.
Are you saying you never complained about your mother at all to Carol Lemire?
No. My mom's a very, very, very good mother to me.
And you never complained about her one bit?
No.
Never complained about her to Carol?
No.
Okay. Were you at the fundraiser that Jamie Masada put together?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Were you ever at a fundraiser for Gavin at the Laugh Factory?
The one that I thought was a fundraiser was the one with Chris, but it ended up just being a graduation.
It wasn't a fundraiser at all.
Not that I know of. It was just little kids, like us, that were graduating, like how we did.
Did anyone try and raise money for Gavin at that event, to your knowledge?
Not that I know of.
Never heard anything about that.
No.
Okay. Were you there?
Yes, I was there.
Okay. Do you know when that was, approximately?
I think it was I don't know.
Did Gavin perform at that fundraiser?
I think he did, for a second.
Okay. And, for a second, what do you mean?
Like for a couple minutes. That's when he was going through chemotherapy, so he couldn't stand for that long.
Okay. So he just performed a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright. But you think that was just for a graduation, not to raise any funds?
Well, it was like 13 kids. They were doing little acts.
Okay.
It was just like what we did.
And Chris Tucker was there?
Yes, he was.
Any other celebrities there? Do you know?
Not that I remember.
Okay. How many times have you testified before under oath, if you know?
Well, the grand jury. Then the one that I did because my father abused us.
Now, the grand jury was approximately March 30th to April 1st, 2004. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, it was the day before my birthday.
Okay. And you came and testified, under oath, to the grand jury, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, what you're saying is you testified in a court proceeding involving your father and mother previously, right?
Involving my father, yes.
Okay. Do you know approximately when that was?
I was in high school. I was 15 years old.
Okay. Now, that had to do with a restraining order, correct?
It had to do with. I don't know what it was about, but the judge wanted to speak with me on how I felt towards my father and what he's done to me.
And did you talk to the judge?
Yes, I did.
Was your mother there?
She was there outside, but the judge had brought us into her chambers. Because my father's sisters and Carol Lemire were making faces at us.
So Carol Lemire was there, too?
Yes, she came with David.
And she was making faces at you?
Yes.
And did you think she was siding with David?
Yes.
Okay. Was your mother, at that time, employed? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Were you living with your mother then?
Yes, I was.
Now, the court proceeding you went to concerned whether or not your father had spoken to you, right?
I don't remember. All I know is that she asked. The city attorney asked me questions about my father and how our relationship was, and different events, yes.
And was your mother there?
She was on the outside. The judge had brought us into her chambers.
And what was your mother's state of health at that point? Do you know?
She had gotten 2 operations on her feet, because her bones, they needed fixing. One was cracked and repinned together, and the other was shaved.
Okay.
So she could hardly walk that far.
Do you recall? And this is a sensitive area, and I'll stop, if you need a break, with Judge Melville's permission, of course. Do you recall members of your family accusing each other of molestation?
No.
Do you recall your mother ever telling the Los Angeles Police Department that David had molested you?
Yes.
Do you recall Gavin ever making any allegations of molestation before?
Gavin never made any to David. What that was that the detective had asked my mother, "Is there anything you want to get off your chest?" And she said, well, one time when she was younger, and I know, because I was there when the detective came. But that court proceeding had nothing to do with this. The detective just asked her if you wanted to get anything off your chest.
To your mother.
Yes.
Do you recall Gavin making any allegations before this case?
Never did.
Did you ever hear anything about that?
He never did. He never has.
Do you ever recall, did anyone ever tell you that they had heard Gavin had made an allegation against your mother?
He never has. He never has made any allegations against anybody.
Okay. Do you know if he's ever made them with anyone with the Department of Children and Family Services?
He never has.
You're sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure.
Were you there when they interviewed him?
No, but I know him.
Okay. So as you sit here today, you've never heard anything about Gavin ever making any other allegation about molestation against anybody?
No.
Okay. Never.
Against my parents, I've never heard him say any allegations.
My question is this. Has anyone ever told you, regardless of whether you think it's true or not, that Gavin ever made an allegation against your mother before?
No, never made an allegation against my mother.
Okay. I'm not asking if you think he did it or not. I'm asking if anyone's ever told you they had heard that he had.
No.
You don't know anything about it?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by the Department of Children and Family Services during the 1990s?
One lady had came over to the East LA apartment.
Do you know approximately when that was?
No, I don't.
Okay. Were you interviewed?
I don't remember if I was.
Do you know if Gavin was interviewed?
I don't remember if any of us were. I know she spoke to my mom, but I don't know if we were interviewed. I don't remember.
Did you ever talk to your mom about that event?
No.
Ever discussed it with your mom?
No.
You don't know what happened?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, at some point you reported your father to the Los Angeles police, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you ever discuss with your mother in advance what you were going to say to the police?
No, I didn't.
Never talked about it at all with her?
I kept it to myself for a couple days, because I was scared.
Okay.
Still scared of him. And then I told her what happened. And then she told me we should tell the police.
Okay. And did you call the police?
She called the police, and then the detective came over.
Okay. You told the police that you were being abused 5 times a week, right?
We were abused every day, more than once, by my father.
Okay. Were you there when your mother was interviewed?
I don't remember if she was interviewed. I just remember the detective coming to the East LA apartment.
Okay. And did you accuse your father of falsely imprisoning you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did your mother accuse your father of falsely imprisoning her?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And did you accuse your father of terrorist threats?
Yes, I did.
Did your mother accuse your father of terrorist threats?
Not that I remember.
All right. And you accused your father of willful harm to a child, right?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. But were you present when your mother told the LAPD that your father had molested you?
No, but I had heard when he had asked her, if you want to get anything off your chest, and she said, yes, and that's when they went to the kitchen area of the East LA apartment.
But when you were interviewed by the police, you never told them your father had molested you, did you?
Because they weren't asking me about that, and I didn't know. I was very young.
Okay. Have you ever discussed with your mother what your father did to you?
They were both present that day.
Okay.
She had said, well, I never told Davellin that. And he said, well, she doesn't need to know anyways. It was just a horrible experience for me to find out that he did that to me when I was young.
And you found that out through your mother?
From both of them. Because he had agreed to it when I was standing right there. Because they were having an argument, and my mom screamed it out at him.
And your father agreed he had done that?
Yeah.
Do you want to take a second?
I'm fine.
Do you want to wait 1 second?
I'm okay.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Are you aware that your mother claimed that security guards at JCPenney sexually assaulted her?
I wasn't there. I don't know anything about that case. I was not involved in that case. All I know is that Gavin complained of his elbow and started complaining of his head, because I picked him up with my grandparents. That's all I know about it.
Have you ever discussed that case with your mom?
Never.
Never talked about it at all?
Never.
Okay. Have you discussed that case with Gavin ever?
Never.
Okay. Do you know even what your mother was claiming?
I don't, really. I was not involved in that case. I had nothing to do with that case. I don't know anything of that case.
But when your mother filed a suit, did she talk to you about it?
She didn't, really. We didn't really talk about it.
Okay. And Gavin never talked to you about it either?
No.
But to your knowledge, Gavin was involved in that.
I know that Gavin, my mom, and David and my mom, Gavin, Star, David and Gavin, Star, David and my mom were all involved in it. That's all I know.
And you don't know what they were claiming happened at JCPenney?
I don't know details. I don't know anything. It was too long ago and I wasn't involved in it.
And you haven't discussed it with anyone in the last year, correct?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge, and I'm only asking what you know, who made contributions to help Gavin pay for medical bills?
We never asked anybody for medical bills to help pay for it.
Never did. Never asked Chris Tucker.
Never asked him for help.
Never asked Louise Palanker.
We have medical insurance. We don't need help with our medical bills.
Did you ever ask Louise Palanker?
No.
Ever ask Chris Tucker?
No.
Were the fundraisers at the Laugh Factory for medical expenses?
I don't know. I was too young. I don't know.
Have you ever discussed the purpose of those fundraisers with your mom?
I don't know. You'll have to ask David.
Did you ever discuss those fundraisers with your mom?
No.
Did you ever see an ad in a newspaper in El Monte which said that Gavin's chemotherapy treatments cost $12,000 apiece? Did you ever see that ad?
I don't remember about that. All I remember is Gavin's picture. I don't remember anything that was in the newspaper.
Okay.
It was too long ago.
Okay. Do you ever remember police officers in Los Angeles having a fundraiser to raise money for Gavin's medical bills?
They didn't have a fundraiser for us. What the Los Angeles Police Department did was, Officer Lassick brought his old Christmas tree for us. And that's all I remember them doing.
Do you know who spoke to them about Gavin's health?
Officers.
Yes.
Officer Lassick spoke to the police department about it.
Who is Officer Lassick?
I met him through my LAPD explorers.
He was a friend of your mom, right?
He was a friend of the family, yes.
Okay. And you? The last couple of years, you've spoken to him from time to time.
I haven't spoke to him.
Did you ever see your mother speak to him?
I haven't seen her speak to him. I work. I'm a full-time student and full-time worker.
Do you have any knowledge of your mother speaking to Andrew Lassick of the LAPD?
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm going to object. At what point in time? Vague.
Sure. I'll rephrase it, Your Honor. During the period of time, say, from January to June of 2003, do you recall ever seeing Andrew Lassick?
I don't. The last time I saw him, we were living at the East LA apartment and I was still involved in Explorers.
And approximately when was that, if you know?
I don't remember. In the year 2001. I don't remember.
Do you know if your mother was in contact with Andrew Lassick during 2003?
I know he would come and visit us once in a while, but I don't know.
Do you know about your mother approaching Andrew Lassick about raising money to pay for Gavin's medical expenses?
She never approached him that way.
Now, how do you know that?
Because that never happened.
It never happened.
No.
And you're not aware of any LAPD police officers trying to raise, funds to pay Gavin's medical expenses?
No, not that I remember, not that I know of.
Did you know anything about Chris Tucker sending $2,000 to your mom?
No, I don't know that.
Did you ever discuss that with Chris Tucker?
No, we're not going to bring up anything like that.
Do you know if Fritz Coleman helped arrange to raise any money for Gavin's medical expenses?
I don't know. Our medical bills are paid by insurance. I don't know.
And I agree with you on that. That's why I have to ask you about this. Did Fritz Coleman ever get involved in a fundraiser for Gavin at the Laugh Factory?
I didn't know about the fundraisers. The only one that I know is the one I met Chris at.
At the Laugh Factory, right?
Yes.
The fundraiser to pay for Gavin's medical costs, right?
I guess it was a fundraiser. But it was just like a graduation, like we had. It didn't look like a fundraiser or anything. It just looked like a get-together.
Okay. You indicated yesterday that Mr. Jackson gave you presents, as the prosecutor described it, that you used at the police academy, right?
Yes. The car.
Okay. Now, how did you use Mr. Jackson's car at the police academy?
My mom would drive me from the East LA apartment to my police academy.
Okay. Do you know who approached Mr. Jackson about giving your family a car?
I don't know.
Do you know if your mother did it?
I don't know.
Do you know if Gavin did it?
I don't know.
Okay. But certainly, to the extent that car was used with the police academy, it was to help you, right?
Well, I know when the car was given, it was given for Gavin.
Okay.
For his doctor's appointments.
Okay. And it was also used to take you to the police academy.
That was after. I didn't join the LAPD Explorers until 2001, I think.
So as far as you know, the car was used for both purposes, to help Gavin get to the hospital and you to get to the police academy, is that right?
It was given for Gavin.
How do you know that?
Because that's when Gavin was getting chemotherapy, and that's what I had heard.
Okay.
From David.
Okay. Did your mother ever discuss that with you?
No.
Never talked to you about where the car came from?
I knew it came from Mr. Jackson, and I knew it was for Gavin's doctor's appointments.
Did your mother ever discuss that with you?
No.
Never talked to your mother about why the car was given to your family?
No, I heard it through David or Gavin, because they were the ones that were at the hospital. They're the ones that would go to Neverland mostly. Mom never went to Neverland, only that first visit, and then this.
Now, who would take you to the police academy in the car that Mr. Jackson gave your family?
My mom.
And that was a white Bronco, is that right?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you just how much of a friend your family was with Chris Tucker. Did you guys hang out a lot together?
Yeah, he invited us to his brother's wedding.
Okay, and approximately when was that?
I don't remember.
And did you go other places with him?
He would take us to the Oakland game. He would ask us to come visit him at his house. I slept over Aj's house one time. We were really close with them.
Do you know approximately when your friendship seemed to fall off with them?
When this started, this whole thing.
Okay, did you try to contact them, and they just didn't respond, or?
No, nobody did.
Okay, now, I believe you said that approximately a year passed between your first visit to Neverland and your second, is that right?
That's from what I remember. I don't know.
You told the jury about your being on a plane with Chris Tucker, right?
Yes. There's 2 separate occasions, yes.
And what was the first occasion that you were on a plane with Chris Tucker?
We went to the Oakland Raider game.
Okay, and the second one was when you and Chris Tucker and your family went to Miami, right?
My mom and my brothers and me and Chris Tucker went to Miami in the private jet.
Alright, and did you think you were going to Miami on Chris Tucker's plane against your will?
No, they just said, to our knowledge, we thought we were going for a press conference.
And what was the press conference supposed to be about, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
Do you know if it was supposed to be about Bashir?
I don't know. All I know is there was supposed to be a press conference.
But no one told you what it was going to be about, to your knowledge?
No.
And was it your understanding your mother wanted to be in a press conference?
She never asked for it. They're the ones that told us.
They told you to get on Chris Tucker's plane and go to Florida.
They asked us to come to Miami, and that there was going to be a press conference over there.
Okay, how long were you in Miami, if you remember?
A couple of days. I don't remember.
And after those couple of days were over, you got on a plane with Mr. Jackson and his family to come back, right?
Do you want me to specify who was on the plane?
We'll get into that. Sure. But basically the flight to Miami was with Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
And the flight back was with Mr. Jackson, right?
Yes. And all his people, yes.
And there were a couple of days in between in Florida, right? A couple of days in between in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. How many nights do you think you spent in Miami?
A couple. I don't know. I don't remember.
Just a couple.
I don't remember.
Alright. Now, on the flight back, Mr. Jackson was on the flight, right?
Yes.
His son, right?
Yes.
And just what is his name?
Prince.
And how old was Prince at the time? Do you know?
I don't remember. Very young, though.
He was a little kid, wasn't he?
Yes.
There were 2 nannies on the plane, right?
Yes.
Grace, right?
Yes.
She was a nanny, right?
Yes.
And who was the other one? Do you remember?
I don't remember who.
But there was a second nanny, right?
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Jackson's doctor was on the plane, right?
Yes.
You don't remember his name, do you?
I don't remember his name.
Okay. Did you meet him in Florida when you were there?
We met him. Where I remember meeting him was when we got in the car to go to the jet to go back to Neverland.
Okay, alright. You said that Marie Nicole was on the plane, right?
Yes.
And you said that Aldo was on the plane.
Yes.
Your mom was on the plane.
Yes.
You were on it, of course.
Yes.
And Gavin and Star, right?
Yes.
And was it your understanding that was a private chartered plane?
Yeah.
The group you've just identified, they were the only ones on that plane, right?
Other than the flight attendant and the pilot.
Okay. And were most of the seats taken, as far as you remember?
Yeah.
Were they all taken, as far as you remember?
Yeah.
When you were in Miami, you said you visited Mr. Jackson's suite, right?
We stood in Mr. Jackson's suite the whole day, yeah.
Was that just one day or a second day? Do you know?
I don't really know, I'm not sure, but when we were there, we went straight up to the suite and stood there all day.
But it was no more than 2 days, right?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
So when you got there, there were 2 nannies and 3 little kids, right?
Got where?
To Miami.
Yes.
Aldo, Marie Nicole.
Frank and Dieter were all in the room.
Okay, but the children I'm talking about. How many children, besides your family?
When we went right to the suite, Prince, Paris and Prince too were there, and Marie Nicole and Aldo were there.
So Prince and Paris are Michael Jackson's children, right?
Yes.
A boy and a girl.
Yes.
And they were with him in his suite, right?
Yes.
Did you ever see Prince and Paris at Neverland when you visited?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, where were Prince and Paris living at Neverland?
In their room, upstairs in the main house.
Did you ever see Mr. Jackson with Prince and Paris?
Yes. A couple of times, yes.
Would you see him walking around the property with them?
Not really.
Would you see him in his house with them?
He would go up to the room and see them, yes.
You've been to every room in Mr. Jackson's house, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've seen them all, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Have you ever seen Prince and Paris's room in Mr. Jackson's house?
Yes, it's upstairs.
Did you see those rooms the first time you visited Neverland?
No, I didn't.
Did you see them the second time you visited Neverland?
No, I didn't. I saw them when he had come back from Miami.
Okay, can you describe Prince and Paris's room?
I don't remember. All I know is where it was at. I don't remember all the little details, because I was only in there for about only maybe 15 minutes, and that was the only time that I went in there.
You did describe for the jury Mr. Jackson's room.
Yes.
In his main house, right?
Yes.
Before you testified yesterday, did you go over that description with anyone?
A week before.
Who did you go over that description with?
I don't remember who it was.
Was it a sheriff?
I don't remember who it was.
Was it Mr. Snedden?
I don't remember who it was.
Was it in the last 2 weeks? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Did anyone show you before yesterday the tape of Mr. Jackson's home?
The tape. What tape?
Well, there was a tape played in this court which showed certain parts of Neverland, including Mr. Jackson's room.
I have never seen a tape.
Never seen that.
No.
Did anyone show you any photographs of Mr. Jackson's room before yesterday?
The ones that I identified. They're the ones that they put up here, yes.
Now, who showed you those photographs before yesterday?
Mr. Snedden.
Okay, and did you discuss what you remembered being in that room with Mr. Snedden?
Yes.
Did he show you the photos of the room while you were discussing this with him?
I don't know when they were shown, but I know it was some point.
Have you ever been into any of Mr. Jackson's closets?
Not that I know of, no.
And have you been into Mr. Jackson's bathroom?
Just saw it, yeah.
When did you see it?
When I went in that one time.
Did you use the bathroom?
No.
Did someone take you into the bathroom?
No, I was walking around in the downstairs of it, just looking. Because it had been the only time I've been in there, so I was just looking around.
So you were just alone looking around in Mr. Jackson's room?
No, I wasn't alone in the room.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't alone in the room.
Who were you with?
I was just walking around.
Who were you walking around with?
I wasn't walking around with nobody. They were sitting down and playing. There was, like, a little arcade game in there. And they were playing that and listening to music. And I was just looking around.
In Mr. Jackson's room?
Yes, on the downstairs.
Okay, and approximately when was that, if you know?
I don't know.
Was it the first time you visited?
No.
Was it the last time you visited?
I don't remember when, but it was after Miami.
After Miami?
Yes.
So you had never seen Mr. Jackson's room till after Miami?
Yes.
You had never been on a tour of the house?
Not in his room, no. We had just saw the library and the kitchen and stuff. But we never went in his room.
Do you know someone named Rio?
No.
Do you know named Simone?
No, I don't remember.
Did you ever share a room at Neverland with any other children?
I was always by myself. I slept by myself.
Did you ever play with any other children at Neverland?
I remember some came, but I was mainly by myself. I don't remember.
So the name Rio doesn't ring a bell?
I don't remember.
The name Simone doesn't ring a bell, right?
I don't remember.
Did you and your brothers ever go to the zoo area at Neverland?
I was hardly ever with my brothers. If I wanted to go, I would go in the little cart.
Okay, did you ever go to the zoo area at Neverland?
Yeah.
Did you ever go with your brothers?
No.
Always alone?
Well, sometimes I would go with Marie Nicole. But I was mainly by myself.
The first time you visited Neverland, was Marie Nicole there?
No, she wasn't.
When did you first see Marie Nicole at Neverland?
After we got back from Miami.
Okay, when you were in Miami, do you recall your mom ever discussing the Bashir documentary?
No, we just knew that it was being aired. And we weren't allowed to see it, but we didn't discuss it.
Did you ever discuss it with your mom?
No.
Did you ever talk to your mom about the fact that you appeared in that documentary?
She knew we had got filmed, so I guess we knew that we would be on there.
Did you ever discuss that with her?
No.
Did you ever discuss the fact that Gavin was on that film with your mother?
We didn't know that it was going to be aired until, like, the press came. We just thought it was like a personal video.
Okay, so you've never really discussed with Gavin what appears in that documentary?
No. Well, when they were filming it, I was standing right there. So.
Did you meet Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
And was the day of the taping the first time you met Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Did you ever discuss what Mr. Bashir was doing with him?
No, we didn't talk to Mr. Bashir. We just said hi.
Okay, But after you and Gavin and Star were taped, did you go home and discuss what happened with your mom?
We just told her that we got filmed, but we thought it was just one of his personal videos.
Okay, and when you say personal video, what are you talking about?
Like because Gavin had been taped before, during his cancer, with Star. And it was just a personal video, like for Mr. Jackson.
And that was a personal video about Gavin's recovering from cancer, right?
No, this was during his cancer.
But it was about him trying to recover from it, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Did you ever see it?
I just saw it once.
Where did you see it?
At Hamid's house.
Okay, now, you indicated that Ronald was in Florida, right?
Yes.
Did you talk to him?
Just to be introduced.
Okay, and was Frank in Florida, too?
I know he came later on, like later on in the day, the first day that we got there.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Yesterday you said that Mr. Jackson had a room in his suite, right?
Yes.
There were other rooms in the suite, right?
No, there's not other rooms in the suite. There's just one in the suite. And then there was a connecting room that was another hotel room, but they had the doors open, so it connected it.
With another whole tower.
There was another hotel room connected to Mr. Jackson's suite, so they had that door open.
And you indicated that, for most of the day, people were going in and out, right?
Yeah, Mr. Dieter and Ronald would.
And Marie Nicole and Aldo were there too.
Yes.
And Mr. Jackson's children were there too.
They left after a while. They weren't there the whole time.
But they were there a lot of the time, weren't they?
A good amount.
And the nannies were with them, right?
Yes.
Now, you testified yesterday and today that you saw behavioral changes in Gavin at some point, right?
Yes.
Have you ever discussed those behavioral changes with Mr. Snedden?
He just asked me if there was anything different about Gavin.
And when was that?
A while ago.
Did you ever discuss what you were going to say in court today about those behavioral changes?
No.
Let me ask you this. Were you ever aware that Gavin had a lot of disciplinary problems in school?
I know he would talk a lot, yeah.
Were you ever aware that teachers were upset because he would get up in class and disrupt the courtroom, the classroom?
He was very talkative, yes.
Well, he was described as disruptive, wasn't he?
Yeah, he would get very talkative. He would get very talkative, that's what his problem was.
He was described by his teachers as getting up in the middle of class and disrupting the class, right?
Well, I don't know.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as asked and answered. Lack of foundation, if she has any personal knowledge of this.
Sustained on foundation.
Do you have any knowledge yourself of Gavin having disciplinary problems in school before he ever met Mr. Jackson?
I knew he was very talkative. That's all I know of. I was very young.
On the rebuttal tape, Gavin mentions gang signs. Do you remember that?
I don't know.
Well, you saw the rebuttal tape, right?
Yeah, I heard of it. I heard that. But I don't think it was Gavin that said it. My mom said it. She was just playing around with Gavin.
Your mother was playing along with Gavin when your mother mentioned gang signs.
No, because Gavin was messing with his hands.
Yes.
And I think that's what it was. And I think my mom was just playing with him, saying, "Stop throwing those gang signs."
To your knowledge, has Gavin ever been associated with anybody in a gang?
No.
Never at all, right?
Never.
Okay, and you've never seen Gavin make a gang sign, right?
No, he's a good boy.
Okay, how did you learn Gavin was having problems with his conduct at school?
I'm going to object as lack of foundation.
I think she said she knew, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
Okay. Did you ever discuss with your mother the fact that Gavin was having any problems at school?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you don't remember ever having a discussion like that?
All I know is that I would tell Gavin, you know, just be quiet and listen to what the teachers tell you. That's all I know. All I know is Gavin talks a lot.
To your knowledge, was he ever asked to leave school?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I was young. I wasn't really paying attention to his school.
Okay, so as you sit here today, you know nothing about Gavin ever being asked to leave school, right?
No, I don't know that.
Never heard anything about that.
No.
Okay, now, in Miami, you said you got a manicure and a pedicure.
Yes.
And I think you said Chris Tucker, Gavin and Star got massages, right?
Yes.
And that was before you got on the plane to go back, right?
Yeah, that was right before we left.
Do you know who paid for those pedicures, manicures and massages?
Yes, Mr. Jackson did. They were charged to the room.
Okay.
Or, Mr. Tucker's was charged to his room. I don't know, really. But I think Mr. Jackson paid for my pedicure, but I don't know about the massages.
How did you know who charged what to their rooms?
Because they had given us, like, a little thing to take and say that it was fine to charge it to the room.
Okay, now, I'd like to just get straight in my mind, if I can, the schools you mentioned yesterday that you went to.
Yes.
You mentioned Hollywood High, right?
Yes.
Now, when did you go to Hollywood High?
For my freshman and half of my sophomore year.
So what years would that be?
2000, 2001.
And when did you go to Mountain View?
Mountain View was the beginning of, it was part of my junior year, like the ending part, and then my senior year was there.
Did you mention a third school?
Yes, I did.
Which one was that?
That was Roosevelt.
When did you go to Roosevelt?
I went to Roosevelt in between my sophomore year and my junior year.
For how long?
Part of my sophomore, and part of my junior.
Okay, now, did you move to these schools because you had moved your home?
No, because, I left Hollywood High School because my father didn't leave me alone.
Okay.
So I had to move.
Okay, and you went from Hollywood
to Roosevelt.
To Roosevelt. And where in Los Angeles was Roosevelt?
Like 5 minutes away from the Soto apartment. It was that high school for that address.
Okay, and I gather your father didn't come to that school to see you, right?
Not that I remember, no.
But you were concerned that he was coming to Hollywood High to see you.
No, he was coming to Hollywood High. That's why I left.
Okay. When you were at Hollywood High, were you living at Soto?
Yes, I was.
When you were at Mountain View, were you living at Soto?
No, I wasn't. I was living with my grandparents.
Okay. Yesterday you put little notations on a large diagram of the interior of the plane.
Yes.
Remember, had you gone over that diagram before you testified?
I have said where I saw everybody sit, and I had seen the diagram before.
And who had showed it to you?
Mr. Sneddon was sitting there. I know there was somebody else. But.
And do you know approximately when that was?
I don't remember when it was.
Did someone tell you, this is a diagram of the interior of that plane?
This is a diagram of the description that you've given us of the plane, yes.
Who told you that?
Mr. Sneddon, I think. I don't remember.
And you don't know if that diagram is completely accurate, do you?
That's from what I saw, so.
Who put the diagram together?
I don't know.
Okay, you hadn't been on that plane since when? January of 2003, February of 2003.
It was for Miami, so I don't know.
Alright, so correct me if I'm wrong. Mr. Sneddon said to you, here's a diagram of the interior of the plane, right?
Of what you described.
Okay, and did he have you, in front of him, start marking off where people sat?
No.
He didn't.
No.
So the first time you did it was yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, and when Mr. Sneddon put it in front of you, he never said, tell me where people were sitting.
From what I remember, where do you think they were sitting?
Okay, alright, was this during that short meeting you had a couple days ago?
Yes.
And Mr. Sneddon and you agree that was only a 15-minute meeting?
Yeah, there was 2 meetings and they were both pretty short.
With Mr. Sneddon?
Well, Mr. Sneddon, and then Mr. Roble would come in. It was an open area. It was right in front of the kitchen.
Okay, now, you indicated yesterday that at some point on the plane, Mr. Jackson gave Gavin his watch, right?
Yes.
And you said at some point on that plane trip, Mr. Jackson gave Gavin his jacket.
Yes.
Alright, now, was this after Mr. Jackson had given the family an automobile?
Yes. The automobile was given during Gavin's cancer. That was, the watch and the jacket were on the plane.
Okay, and you indicated you saw some whispering between Mr. Jackson and Gavin, but you didn't hear what it was.
No, they were whispering and they were passing the Diet Coke can back and forth.
And you have no idea if Gavin asked Mr. Jackson for a watch, because you couldn't hear, correct?
All I know is that Mr. Jackson gave it to him.
Okay, and at some point, I believe you said that it was Ronald who wanted the watch from you, your family.
No, Dieter was the one that wanted it back.
Was that at Neverland?
Yes, it was.
So Dieter appeared upset that Mr. Jackson had given Gavin a watch, right?
Yeah.
Alright, did Dieter ever try to get the car back?
I didn't meet Dieter at that time.
When did you first meet Dieter?
At Miami.
Alright, and was this in the suite?
Yes, it was.
When did you first see Dieter try and get that watch back?
We were all together in one of the guest rooms. And he was asking Gavin for the watch back.
And Mr. Jackson wasn't there, right?
No.
You did say yesterday, in response to the prosecutor's question about the plane, that people would switch their seats around, remember?
Yeah, that would be Star, Aldo and Marie Nicole that would switch their seats around.
Did you ever see, excuse me, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, strike that. Did you ever see Aldo and Marie Nicole switch their seats around?
Yeah, they would switch back with Star. They would go back and forth.
Do you know where the doctor sat on the plane?
He was in one of those 4 chairs that were behind me. I don't remember where.
Yesterday did you tell the prosecutor where the doctor was seated?
No, I just wrote that he was in one of those 4 seats.
Okay, and he was with the 2 nannies, right?
Yes, and my mom was sitting, all those 4. In those 4 seats were my mom, the doctor, and the 2 nannies. I don't know how they were seated or anything.
Okay, and is it your recollection that Mr. Jackson was facing the rear of the plane?
He was facing the front of the plane.
Okay, and where were you facing?
I was facing the back of the plane, right in front of Gavin.
Okay, and who was next to you?
Paris was.
Alright, and the doctor was at the back of the plane facing the front, to your knowledge.
I don't know where he was seated. All I know is he was in those 4 chairs behind me.
Okay, Gavin's illness lasted approximately a year, right?
Yes.
And he had a number of surgeries, right?
He had 1 major surgery.
Okay, what was that for, if you know? Didn't they remove the spleen?
They took out his spleen. They took out a 16-pound tumor. They took out lymph nodes. They took out that's all I remember. They took out his kidney, because it was totally eaten by the cancer. And that's all I remember.
And when you said on the rebuttal tape that you thought Mr. Jackson had helped him recover, were you telling the truth?
I had said that. I don't remember saying that.
Okay, do you ever remember your mother saying Mr. Jackson had helped your brother recover from cancer?
What do you mean?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to vagueness, as to when and point in time.
Point in time.
Sure, Your Honor, I'll rephrase. Do you remember, on the rebuttal tape, your mother saying that Mr. Jackson helped your brother Gavin recover from cancer?
I know she said it on the rebuttal tape.
Did you ever hear her say it any other time?
No, she owed all credit to God.
So other than the rebuttal tape, you never heard your mother ever say Mr. Jackson helped Gavin recover from cancer?
Not that I remember.
What about when Brad Miller was at Jay Jackson's apartment?
If she did, I don't remember. I was young. It was too long ago.
Okay, now, when you arrived from Miami, you were taken to Neverland Ranch, right?
Yes.
And was that a limousine?
Yes.
Do you know who drove that?
I don't remember.
Okay, and when you got there, you said that Dieter or Ronald were there, right?
No, they weren't.
They weren't there.
They didn't get there until the next day, I think.
Okay, and you've never flown with them, right?
No.
Okay, When you left Neverland with Jesus Solace, you were in a Rolls-Royce, right?
Yes, we were.
And your mother asked Jesus to take the family back home, right?
Yes.
And Jesus put you all in a Rolls-Royce and drove you to Los Angeles, right?
Yes, he drove us. I don't remember. I think he took us to my grandmother's house.
Okay, and at some other point, the family all went back to Neverland, right?
Yes.
And approximately when was that?
Time-wise, I don't know. It was so long ago.
Okay, after you got back from Miami, if you know, how many times did you go back and forth to Neverland?
Twice, I think. I think it was twice.
Twice.
Or 3 times. I don't remember.
One time you went back with Asia, correct?
Yes.
And Asia drove you to Neverland, right?
Yes.
And did you ask her to drive you, or did she just volunteer to, if you know?
Because we were going to be taken back anyways, because we asked her to take us instead.
Okay, when Asia drove you back to Neverland, there was no security person in your car, true?
No.
You mentioned to the jury at one point that you were scared, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you get scared, if you remember?
Like.
I'm talking about when you were at Neverland.
Like after they started telling us about the death threats and stuff.
After what?
After they started telling us about the death threats and how Dieter started getting more aggressive.
Dieter was getting more aggressive.
Yes.
This is right after the Miami trip, right?
No, this is closer to the rebuttal film.
Okay, so you first started to get scared around the time of the rebuttal film, right?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that Asia drove you back to Neverland, right?
Yes.
Was your mother in the car?
No, she wasn't.
Where was she?
She was at Jay Jackson's apartment.
Okay, when you were at Jay Jackson's apartment to talk to the 3 social workers, your mother never complained that you were being falsely imprisoned, did she?
About what?
About anything.
About falsely imprisoned with who?
With Frank, with Vinny, with Dieter, with Konitzer, with Schaffel. Anybody.
No, we were kind of scared, because the bodyguard was downstairs.
Okay, but you never told any of the 3 women from the Department of Children and Family Services, we need help, right?
Not that I remember, no.
And your mother certainly never did that, right?
Not that I remember, no.
And you don't recall your mother ever telling Asia, call the police, we're having problems, right?
I remember there would be occasions that she would call Asia. I don't know what they talked about. And I did talk to Asia once when they were at Neverland Ranch.
And you never heard your mother ever call the police, right?
I heard about an occasion, yes, that she tried to.
Okay, when was this?
I don't know when it was. But it was when they were at the ranch.
Okay, how about when you were at Jay Jackson's house, an active member of the United States Army who your mother was having a relationship with? Do you recall your mother ever saying anything like, Major Jackson, call the police? Do you ever recall that?
She had called, because she dialed up. If you press 911 at the Neverland Ranch, it goes to their security.
Right.
So she had to call Jay and ask him to call.
How about when she was at Jay Jackson's apartment?
Not that I remember, no.
Alright, you indicated that an investigator named Bradley Miller took a recorded statement from your whole family.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that was at Jay Jackson's apartment, right?
Yes, it was.
And Jay Jackson was actually in and out, wasn't he?
No, he was sitting right there.
Okay, so you're at Jay Jackson's home, with Jay Jackson sitting there, and an investigator is taking a statement. And nobody complains about Dieter, Konitzer, Frank, Vinny, Schaffel, or anybody, right?
I don't think it was at that point. He just asked us to speak of things of my father.
Okay, but I'm asking if your mother at that point ever called the police or did anything that suggested that Ronald, Dieter, Frank, Vinny, anybody was causing problems.
I guess, I don't know. You have to ask her what she thought.
Okay. Now, when you were being interviewed by Brad Miller, he asked you about David, right?
Yes.
And you talked about things like child endangerment and terrorist threats, right?
I don't remember what I said. All I know is I talked about David.
Okay. You talked about abusive behavior by him, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you remember telling Brad Miller that Michael is a father to all of you?
I don't remember what I said on the tape. It was very long ago. All I remember is the key point was on David.
Okay. Do you remember telling Brad Miller Michael has given your family safety, love, and everything you've ever wanted?
I don't remember what I said. All I remember is the key point was about David.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if I just showed you a transcript of what you said?
No, it wouldn't. I would have to hear my own voice.
You don't want to see this?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Did your mother ever tell you that we're being forced to make positive statements about Michael Jackson in the interview with Brad Miller?
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm going to object as to what point in time. Vague. Lack of foundation.
Sustained. Time.
We're talking about Sunday, February 16, 2003. Okay. And that's the approximate time you were at Jay Jackson's apartment being interviewed by Brad Miller, right?
You're asking me what?
Well, I'm asking you if that sounds like the approximate time you were interviewed by Brad Miller.
I don't know the date. All I know is that he came to Jay Jackson's house.
Does February of 2003 sound around the time?
I don't know.
Was it after your trip to Miami?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Was it before the rebuttal video?
I don't remember.
Do you think it was around the time of the rebuttal video?
I don't think so.
Alright, but Jay Jackson sat at the table.
We were seated in the living room.
And Jay Jackson was sitting there during the interview, right?
Yes, he was.
Was he introduced to Brad Miller as a member of the United States Army? Do you know?
All I remember, it's too long ago. All I remember is us sitting on the blue couch. And Bradley Miller had the tape recorder on the table. And he was asking us questions. And the main subject was David.
And Jay was just sitting there and listening, right?
Yes, Bradley Miller said he didn't need him to talk.
Okay, so he just sat there and listened, right?
Yes.
And you complained about stories that were being told about your brother, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again as lack of foundation and vagueness as to what point in time.
All my questions, unless I tell you otherwise.
Well, that's not fair to the witness.
I'm going to withdraw the question and rephrase it, if you want to do that.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a number of questions about the Brad Miller interview. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions about what you said. All right.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you questions about who was there.
Okay.
And I've already asked you questions about where it was. It was at Jay Jackson's apartment, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Who was there, besides Jay Jackson and you?
My mom and my two younger brothers.
And Brad Miller, of course, was there, right?
Yes.
And have you discussed that interview with anyone with law enforcement?
We told them that we took the interview, yes.
Have you discussed that interview with your mother at all?
No.
Never have.
No.
So ever since you had that interview, you've never talked to your mom about it, right?
Not really, no. It was just strange because he would stop and redo it and say, "That's not necessary to talk about." He would rewind it. Stop it. I mean, we talked about how strange that was.
And did Jay Jackson ever say a word?
No, he never did.
Did your mom ever complain about that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, alright. Was it your understanding that the purpose of the interview was to get your feelings about Michael Jackson on tape?
I thought the purpose was about David.
Was about David?
Yeah.
But you and your mother and your brothers kept referring to Michael Jackson as the father, right?
I don't remember what I said. All I remember is that the main focus was David.
Okay, now, when the rebuttal video was done that we saw in court today.
Yes.
Was your mother still involved with Jay Jackson, as far as you know?
Yes.
Okay, were they engaged at that point? Do you know?
No, I don't think so. They were still dating.
At that point in time, was Andrew Lassick, of the LAPD, a friend of the family.
I don't think we talked to him at that point. I don't remember.
Okay.
Mr. Mesereau, I'm going to turn the air conditioner on. So will you speak up?
Oh, sure. Did you think that Brad Miller didn't want certain statements about David on the tape?
He didn't want certain statements about, I don't remember. All I know is he would rewind it, and say, that's not necessary, we don't need to talk about that. And he would rewind it, tape over it, stop it, and then, we're going to talk about this now, and that's what I remember. And then he would stop and rewind it a lot.
Did he ever tell you, if you remember, that he worked for Mark Garrigus?
No, I thought he was just from Mr. Jackson.
Okay. At the beginning of that interview, he says he works for Mr. Garrigus, right?
I don't remember. All I remember is that he was from Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Have you discussed this issue with your mother at any time?
No.
Now, you knew that your mother was going to testify in a pre-trial hearing in this case, right?
I knew she was coming up here, yes.
Did you ever discuss what she was going to be asked with her?
I didn't know what she was being asked. All I know is that she came up here.
Did you ever talk to her about what she said after she appeared in court?
No.
Ever discussed it one time with her?
Huh.
Alright. At the time she testified in a pre-trial hearing in this case, you were living with her, right?
I've been living with them ever since I started college.
And you're not aware of you and your brothers ever talking to her about what she said in court that day, right?
No, I don't remember hearing her talk about anything with the court.
Do you recall her coming back home after she testified in a pre-trial hearing in this case?
Yeah, I remember her coming home.
Do you recall ever discussing what went on with her?
No, we just greeted her, and that was it. And the baby was there with her.
And so everybody just agreed to be silent.
Yeah, we know we're not supposed to talk about each other.
Who told you that?
Well, they told us that.
Who did?
Mr. Snedden and everybody with law enforcement.
So you never discussed this case with each other at all?
No, we know we're not supposed to.
Okay. Can I take a second? Around the time that you were visiting Neverland, say in 2002, did you use a computer?
No, I never used a computer when I was up there.
Were you able to use a computer?
No.
Did you ever use a computer at Carol Lemire's home?
Once, because she had me doing her son's project.
Did you use a computer at her home?
Yeah, one time, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever discuss your use of the computer with her?
She was the one that told me to get on the computer and do his project.
Around the time that you first visited Neverland, did you have a computer at home?
Well, Mr. Jackson had given Gavin a computer on our first visit, when we got there.
Did he take that computer home?
Yes, he did.
Was the family using it at home?
Mainly Gavin would use it.
Did anyone else use it?
Not that I remember.
Did you ever use it?
No, not really. Just when I was seeing what Gavin was doing. But not really.
Was that the only computer you had at home?
Yes.
Now, at some point, did Gavin take that computer out of the home?
No. What happened was, I don't know who or what happened, that he had called saying that something was messing up with it. So he sent it to Mr. Jackson's people, and we never got it back.
Okay, and your mother used to complain about that, right?
About what?
Not getting the computer back.
Not that I remember. I don't know.
And she used to complain about not getting the car back, right?
I don't remember. I don't know.
You never heard her do that?
I don't know.
Well, you said yesterday at some point the car didn't work, right?
Yes.
And it went back to Neverland, you thought, right?
I just knew that somebody came and picked it up. I didn't know where it went.
Your mother used to complain about that, didn't she?
Complain about what?
The fact that it was her car at that point.
No, it wasn't her car. We still called it Gavin's car.
Counsel.
Yes.
Break time.
Oh.